Today, we're going to be teaching you about the Pacific Northwest, one of the 5 Native American regions, featuring Holly, Kadence, Zarina, Kayla, and Olivia. Location and geography. The Pacific Northwest runs along the Pacific coast of what is now modern-day California and some of modern-day Alaska, specifically from Yakutat Bay to Cape Mendocino. There was an abundance of resources such as salmon and cedar trees. This region is characterized as a mild and wet climate with some dense and coniferous forests, which supported the abundance of wild plant foods like rose hips, thimbleberries, devil's clubs, and salmonberries. There are 6 tribes contained in this region. Kwakiutl is renowned for their art, such as totem poles, masks, and the potlatch. Chinook is known for their skilled traders, navigators, and salmon fishers. The Shoshone tribe are skilled hunters and gatherers that lived in the Great Basin, modern-day Nevada, Utah, and California. The Modoc tribe is known for strong resistance against forced relocation and reservation confinement. The Cayuse tribe are known as skilled horsemen who developed their own pony breed. Lastly, the Nez Perce tribe are known as skilled horsemen as well and were renowned for their breeding skills. They made the Appaloosa horse. Systems for basically the entire Pacific Northwest politically included things like being defined by inherited rank, wealth display, and the redistribution system of ceremonies like potlatch. These were separate groups and tribes within the Pacific Northwest, but they all relied on hereditary chiefs who led ranked family groups. Kinship based on housing was a big thing. The higher your ranking was in the tribe determined if you or your family could have a house. Each house had specific rules as to what resources you and your family could access. Most societies were stratified and composed of chiefs, elites, commoners, slaves, and war captives. As discussed before, salmon was by far the most abundant and important resource that the native tribes in the Pacific Northwest had access to. This fish became a stable food source, but they also helped the native groups progress when it came to creating traps and mechanisms to capture food and trade in order to make more money. It was like their version of a cash crop, even though it wasn't a crop. Although they had an abundance of fish, there were also seasons and different landmarks that they had to travel to by boat. They used a specific route most of the time down throughout the Columbia River, which served as a trading highway. Aside from salmon, other goods such as berries, aquatic animals, natural pelts, and ore were exchanged and traded in order to grant these tribes the wealth that they needed. They had different types of ceremonies they held to socialize, with one of the most popular ones being named potlatch. The potlatch ceremony consisted of a gift-giving feast and was the most significant social event. It was usually held during the most important times in the natives' lives, for example, marriages, births, and funerals. The host, usually a hereditary leader, would distribute large amounts of resources amongst the guests, which further validated their social status depending on what and how much they got. They also had other ceremonies where they would dance, sing, or perform different theatrical performances with masks and regalia. Storytelling, such as folklore and tales passed on from generation to generation, were also huge. And most stories are still continued today by an establishment called the Northwest Indian Storytellers Association. They played games such as shinny and slaw. They shared a religious belief called animistic. This attributed spirits to all living and non-living things, which were expressed through religious ceremonies, including potlatch. They essentially performed shamanic rituals which connected the human world to the spiritual realms that they believed existed. These realms included the sky, sea, earth, and other worldly spirits. Some believed that crafty animals were earthly gods and helpers. Shamanism, also known as the shaman or medicine men, were highly respected spiritual leaders who were seen as intermediaries between the spiritual and human world. Thanks for watching!